Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to serve you in this way tonight. You all have been so special to this ministry, our little movement of God, that I wanted to put together a special message just for you. 20 years ago, I sat in a staff worship service at World Vision talking to God. I had just volunteered to be a volunteer director for Love in the Name of Christ. That was in the process of closing down. I felt moved to step into the role. In the worship service, though, I had many thoughts about trying to get the churches to work together to help our neighbors in need. Many of you have heard me share over the years, as I was telling God all the reasons it probably won't work. I'm a woman in a male-dominated line of work, pastoral ministry, churches split up over a verse in the Bible. How could I get them to come together? There was a lot of I can'ts in my dialogue to him. The worship team began to sing. If you can use anything, Lord, you can use me. If you can use anything, Lord, you can use me. Take my hands, Lord, and my feet. Touch my heart, Lord, and speak to me. If you can use anything, Lord, you can use me. Before they were finished, I was in tears, and I heard as plain as someone sitting right next to me, "He who has called you is faithful, and he will do it." Knowing that was from God, I said, "Okay, Lord, I just will do what I know to do and trust you for the rest." I knew beyond a doubt this was not just any organization. It would be a movement of God. Many, many movements of God. I worked hard, nonstop sometimes, always motivated to keep seeing God at work around me. When I recognized him at work, I joined him. I could be hard to work with, I'm sure, but I always felt I was directing us with how he was directing me. In my last official act as executive director, I wanted to do something special. A top donor dinner that I believe God planted in my heart all at once in a day in August. It was like a huge download of details. Who would be honored, who would cook, what the message would be. That just seemed to be how God worked with me in my life. And when I knew it was God, I acted immediately. No second guessing. I called our board president and asked if I could share this idea at the board meeting that night. Everything, all the details seemed like a movie playing out. There is so much to be thankful for. I saw God move in people's hearts to support us financially so we can carry out this work of his. I saw God move in people's hearts to personally volunteer hours and hours alongside of clients and in our office needs. Many of you have partnered with me, with us, for well over the last 17 of these 20 years. A couple handfuls have been with me the whole 20 years in some way. A few of you came to my first top donor dinner at my house, and I barbecued seafood for you out in the yard. One of you was at a very first meeting I was at, learning about what Love Inc. was all about and if we could keep it going here in Pierce County. A couple of you helped to move us into our first office that could handle some volunteers in our 80-year-old mobile home, and then helped move us a couple more times as we kept growing and hiring more people who needed help, as well as help us help those who called our helpline. Many of you have given financially, monthly, or quarterly for years and years. And as I saw those repeat names, it was like hearing God say, "I still have your back." Some of you helped out in the office 15 years ago answering the helpline and speaking to clients who called in for help. Some of you helped with data entry in our web-based client management system. We had a team of ladies volunteering quarterly to put together our newsletters for mailing. That took me 14 hours to do by myself in the evenings when we sent them out before those ladies came together. They helped for more than 13 years till COVID hit. I'm thankful for the hundreds of people God moved to be mentors, instructors, cooks, and hosts in our Jobs for Life program. We have held 19 complete classes. There is so much to be thankful for. We don't talk about individual donors or giving at our board meetings. It's spoken of in groups like all the individual donations that came in, or all the church donations that came in. This information has been confidential, but I know, and God knows. I would write thank you notes for each family's donation. Sometimes they would write me notes back. It would blow you away to know that God has moved so many people to give for so many years. Some could have bought cars with that money they invested in this ministry. Some could have bought homes, at least homes in 2001's prices. I'm thankful for the guy who volunteered hundreds of hours after initially being paid some money to build our web-based client management system in 2011. He continues to maintain it as a volunteer. We were blessed with this and passed that on by sharing and training over 25 other Love Incs. And nonprofits at no charge to have their own client management system. This always has been a movement of God, and I'm so thankful. We have people who invest in God's work in different ways. All are movements of God. Thank you all for being a part of this movement of God with me. I'm also thankful God brought not one, but two people to pass this ministry baton over to. It couldn't be just anyone for me to feel okay to step back or that I'd know my calling had been fulfilled. I was planning a succession plan 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I hired Cheryl Ice and Sean Skidmore, so we had plenty of time to train and ensure they knew all the information needed to help the clients, run a volunteer-heavy ministry, run the Jobs for Life program, and take us to new things God had in store. Cheryl has a pastor's heart and gifts of teaching and discernment. We must constantly educate people in the churches how we work together to make a kingdom difference. She had a lot of experience working in benevolence ministry in the churches. There's a lot of rotation of church volunteers, elders, and deacons, so it's non-stop retraining to keep churches active. She is a lifelong learner and very good with new technology. She is a prayer warrior. She will run the Jobs for Life program and administration and communications here. Sean is a prayer warrior with a strong gift of compassion. He works from his heart. He wants to pastor people to encourage and support them and bring them to Jesus to meet our needs. He will run the clearinghouse, work with the church deacons who want to help with service projects, and recruit students for our Jobs for Life program for those calling us for help. He loves praying with clients and trying to direct them to available resources or recruit help if needed from churches who want to help our neighbors in need. The ministry is in good hands, and I pray you will continue to support their leadership as you have supported mine all these years. Thanks again for all your support over the years and for joining us tonight, for being a part of our little movement of God.